we submitted that to the email address provided to us with no response.
Okay.
So I think we're trying our best to adhere to what the council is asking.
Could possibly be true, and I can't sit there and say that
Or
that
a
isn't true. I
conference.
can say that it didn't wind up on our agenda for today, which means it won't be on our agenda until a month from now,
Yeah,
Which is too late.
which is probably gonna be, the ship had sailed at that point.
yeah.
And for these reasons I've already mentioned, and there might be a host of other reasons, but it just seems like a pretty rocky relationship. And if we can work out the edges on this, then maybe there could be a successful remedy. It just doesn't seem like it's happening right now.
Ken, can I just add one more point there?
You sure, may?
I would suggest if you really want to make sure that something that's submitted to the village actually gets properly submitted and starts getting processed, the best bet is probably take it physical printout into the village office, because then they will receive it there and stamp right onto the date received and stuff. If you send an email to the village manager, I know he's been there was a conference he was at, he had some personal vacation time, so if it just were going to the village manager, it may not have gotten registered, and that could be why it is not in our packet.
Or
So
there could have
I
been
would just
some
say, if you make sure
inadequacies
it's
in it.
physically in the office, they'll stamp it that it was received that day.
But part of the issue was we were trying to get everybody to do it online too, Larry, but I hear
Yeah,
what you're saying.
I'm just saying is if you want to make sure that it's received, that's
Yeah.
the best way to do it.
And I'm going through mine right now and nothing is coming
Yeah,
out.
technically, I'm supposed to be on Parks and Rec, so I really would hope I'm Brooks, and I would like
Yeah.
the email to come to me, because I feel like this is an area that I have a responsibility. I do attend the church, one of the churches, and did hear back that you had asked for permission, and
Yeah.
permission was granted. So I know that you did do the follow-up, and I was one of the people who asked you to specifically get things in writing. I just
Yeah.
wished I would have gotten the email so that I could speak to that now. And
would that
unfortunately, the
have come
manager is
from?
not
Part of-
here.
I can,
It's an office procedure.
Would
it
that
came
have
from
come
Michigan
Kenny?
Blackhawks Club at gmail.com.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, because I just
It's an
looked
office
that up and
procedure,
I'm not
but we
getting
should
any.
have been notified.
So can I ask you something, Ian?
Certainly, certainly.
My understanding is, because we were very concerned about the kids not playing, because none of us want that to happen. This is primarily, it's too many people for the village to handle. You know, there comes a point where parking and all of that
Yeah.
becomes an issue. We're just very small, it's a very little field, it wasn't meant for big tournaments. My understanding is you are booked in Oxford, is that correct?
We are.
Okay.
We've had to move, unfortunately.
Yeah, so
disheartening.
the good thing is, I mean, I talked to the recreation manager out there, they can handle that kind of a size of a tournament. And they got beautiful, I mean, they got beautiful facilities. I go out there for a lot of things. So we just wanted to make sure that the kids weren't losing out. And so for May, we know that they're good and it's all set with your club out there, so.
Yeah, and based off the recommendations of the council last time, we downsized that in hopes to get to the point where we could, still have obviously a community event in our community.
Right.
Yeah.
I understand and hear the council's topic of parking and potential chaos and what brings that. It's completely understood. The disheartening portion of that is this Saturday, May 3rd, we're going to host the M15 garage sale. There's going to be a lot of cars not parking where they should be. There's going to be a lot of chaos. As a community, we're embracing that, but we won't embrace a baseball tournament. That's disheartening as a member of the community.
And
Well, if
and
I-
we're
if I could
business
just-
owners downtown too, myself personally.
Sure.
I can tell you the M15 garage sale is an extremely busy event if you're on M15.
Yeah.
It's not gonna draw,
It
it
doesn't-
isn't gonna draw but 4 cars.
So isn't it great to have an event in the community right here where
oh,
there's
we
going to
love
be
it.
cars
I'm not
right
saying-
here?
We
I'm not saying that,
absolutely
but to
love
say that
that.
we're embracing one activity where parking is
we're
gonna be a
not-
problem
yeah, that's
versus
a-
another.
Yeah, and I
Parking
don't
is
think.
always a problem
I don't
in this
think
field.
that we get a permit for the M15 garage sale.
Yeah.
That
I
just
really
is an
don't know
event
who
that
does
happens
that.
up in town the entire length of
We have
M15.
no,
I would like
yeah,
to
we don't get to vote on that.
mention also, when we talk about, issues with parking and safety and things like that, every permit has to go through the police and fire
Yeah.
first. And so before we even get the packet at council's end, it has to be approved by them. And if the police or fire have concerns about parking or any safety issues or things like that, they may not approve it. And that's the first hurdle that has to be passed,
And
is
they
get
did
their
not
approvals.
approve this, and the letters were in there. Did you see that?
But in the form we submit, from my understanding, the form that we submit to the council, the council goes to those basic, because even on the form it says for office
Yes.
use, right?
Yes.
So we don't, without any communication back, we don't know if the fire department has accepted it or if
Okay.
the sheriff's department has not accepted. We're in the dark, so we don't know how we can
That
adjust
should
to
not
try
be,
to
there
to
should
get
be
better.
communication from our office to anybody that is applying, so we'll have to find out what's happening there. There were letters that were in the packet, both the Sergeant Glover and Chief Quapis, they had both declined the large events,
Sure.
and they gave the reasons why, and they wrote it out
Gotcha.
in memos.
Yeah.
So because I'm assuming you never saw that.
We hit no.
Yeah, I can tell.
For that one or for this one, but the one that we applied for in March.
Like I say, there's been a rocky existence that started off last year, and we just have to smooth these things out between your organization
Sure.
and the village council.
It's for the community.
We're looking forward to doing that, but I do think when your group speaks with several different voices, that sometimes causes
Confusion.
confusion.
Sure.
And not that we're not responsible for any of it, but I can tell you some of it we're not responsible for.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I guess on our next application, we will email and we will bring a physical form and we'll try to, again, do our best to
Okay.
smooth out this relationship.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree
Because
more.
we do want events downtown, we do, but we also have to have buy-in from the police and fire.
I would like to say that, I live right in I walk over to that park all the time, and I did walk through it last year when those events were going on, and it is a wonderful thing to see.
It is.
Kids
I
in
ride my
town
bike
and
down.
kids going on, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to be on Parks and Rec, because
Yeah.
I love seeing people there. I've talked to neighbors that said, it's great, we can sit in our front porch and watch a tournament. So I do see some great value. I think that you have pointed out some of the issues we have with the application process, because, again, as being Parks and
communication.
Rec, I had no idea you had resubmitted anything.
Yeah, none of us-
I also
well,
had no idea that
Alex
you
did.
had not gotten any feedback from Lieutenant Glover or Quapis on your new,
Well, they make
On your new-
recommendations.
They-
We, the board, have the final say. I
Right.
mean, they do
No, but the
make
office should
recommendations
be
to us.
communicating.
but we
The
need,
office
yeah.
should be.
But I would just say that I would like to make sure that, we
Yeah.
do follow up with you.
We'll
and-
try to do a better job on our end.
Yeah,
We really-
definitely.
We appreciate
because-
that. In closing, our 8U boys, we had a tournament this past weekend that they took the championship at, right? And there'd be nothing better than our boys to celebrate that win in our community, right?
That's-
Versus
Yeah.
somewhere else.
I think we all have similar goals when it comes to that. We just have different ways of getting there and different concerns, but they can be worked out.
And from my side, I've seen you guys have made a lot of effort to try to address all the concerns that we've had, and I certainly appreciate the effort you put in trying to make it easier, and hopefully something that we can do. So I'm sure that if we just both keep working together, we'll come to an agreeable situation at some
Okay.
point.
All right.
Thank you, Ian.
Thank you.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
your time.
Nice
Have a
meeting
great
you.
evening.
Was there anybody else that came here to the meeting today that would like to address the?
Oh, I see another person.
We have
there.
another one.
Oh, we do have another one. We don't have to start over with the Pledge of Allegiance. You can just come on up and start us right off. For anyone that doesn't know, this is Matt Jenkins, the director of the DDA.
Matt Jenkins, DDA Director. Thank you very much. Just wanted to point out a couple things that are happening with the DDA. If you're not aware, May is National Historic Preservation Month, and so there's a couple things happening. You may have already seen the historical displays that happen to be in 449 Mill Street. Most recently, Restyled Creations was the business that was in there. I think most people know it as the doctor's office, however. It's a partnership with the Historical Society and the DDA. thanks to Alan Allgaier and Allie Reese for working on that project. The panels were, Alan provided a good deal of the content for the panels, and then they were built by our intern, Olivia, who is just graduating from Albion, by the way. She is home now. I think graduation is next Saturday, but she did an awesome job on them, so wanted to point that out. In addition, Dennis Hoffman we've worked with the VFW and Dennis, Paula Maury, and again, Allie Reese on our Hometown Heroes banner project, which will be up mid-May, fingers crossed. The spring market is May 17th, so our goal is to have them up for that event. You may have seen, I'm hoping, and if you pass through town, you probably have seen since last Thursday the redevelopment of our pocket park between Old Town Hall and Heritage. And for the sake of stretching potential funding sources, we are now referring to it as the Heritage Park, Pocket Park. Also, event season is picking up. The farmers market planning is well underway. We did have a bit of a setback with our market manager, who has decided that she will not be able to continue in the position. The positive thing about that is the most recent meeting, probably either a week, 10 days ago, of the farmers market team, the volunteers that have planned the market the last 2 seasons, they said, we're ready. We're up for it. We'll step back in and take it and run with it. And of course, you have in your packet tonight our summer kickoff event, which is a little twist to our food truck rally that has taken place in June since 2018, minus 2020, of course, when we didn't have it. But it's a little twist where we are reducing the number of food trucks, condensing the space being used, and trying to provide additional entertainment. It's also in conjunction with movie night with the Township Parks and Rec. They will be doing that at Crossman Park. So it should be a nice family fun activity to kick off the summer.
Can I ask some questions? So is that just a one-time, the summer kickoff? Or are you going to do that as you did the food trucks last year, like once a month, or?
It's been a couple of years since we had a third event. Traditionally it's been June and September.
Mm-hmm.
And I think 1 or 2 years we mixed in a July or an August food truck event. And the September event this year will be in conjunction with the Lions Club beer tent, and it will again be a consolidated effort, less food trucks, only on South Street to support that event.
Okay. And then what, for your Heritage Park, Pocket Park, and I know you and I emailed, what is the, just in a nutshell, what is the design that is happening there? What are you putting in there?
It's obviously to activate the space, to make it more inviting for the public to utilize. It'll be hardscape, softscape. There will be some landscaping. I don't know if you've noticed yet, but there is a step down from the Old Town Hall porch that was just laid today.
Mm-hmm.
The step. The concept includes fun. So, for example, there will be opportunities for yard-type games, whether it's cornhole or things of that nature. Last year, the View newspaper group donated 2, shall I call them antique newspaper machines, the old school newspaper machines
Oh, nice.
that they're currently being sandblasted and painted, and those will serve as our game kiosks. So we will have games in there that can be used in that area as well. We will be purchasing new tables, picnic tables, for the space. We're considering purchasing extra that will overflow into Heritage when that redevelopment begins. But we also want the surface to be utilized for things like bistro tables.
Yeah.
If you recall, last summer we had introduced just simple 4 colorful bistro tables downtown that got some business owners were like pulling them in front of their store to
Absolutely.
utilize. But being able to adapt that space for different things like that as well.
And then, is there a presentation that we can get on the streetscape that we can get emailed to us?
It's a very large file. The actual, okay, so the streetscape project is a 2-phase project. We started with phase 1, which was completed last month. That was a design palette. What does that mean? It means the types of things that would work downtown. It doesn't say where they should go or how they should be utilized. It just says, based on the surveys from the public, work with the DDA board, these are the types of things. Phase 2, which is what we are in now, will actually develop a plan on how to utilize those components, and the consulting firm Giffords Webster, they will provide a space analysis, and we've asked them to actually use the courtyard area at South and Mill, where the fountain used to be. That space there, they will actually design the space using the design palette and how we can utilize it.
Nice.
They'll also identify other spaces downtown. For example, we're currently working with the preservation architect for Oakland County on a site master plan at the museum. And one of the considerations there, which will come before this board, obviously, because it'll be your decision, but the idea is, so Giffords Webster and Ron Campbell will have contact as they talk about the master plan down there and potentially what it might do to the roadway in front of the museum, which obviously at this point is not ADA accessible to the museum from the sidewalk. And in fact, somebody coming from the west on Mill Street would have to cross in a wheelchair or disabled, would have to cross the street to continue. So those two projects are colliding to kind of combat that. But again, that would be a decision for the village council to make. And once we get there, we'll bring it to you. So, that's a long answer to a very simple question.
That's a good answer.
But
yeah.
the plan isn't developed yet. There are things that Giffords Webster has come to the DDA meeting and presented. Those files are very large, and I'd be happy to share a link where you could go and access that.
Well, thank you. You answered all my questions.
Okay, appreciate it, thanks. Anyone else here at the meeting that would like to address the village council? Actually, pretty much takes care of everybody that's even here. Moving past that, past public comments it is, and it's items from trustees, and if I can start down with Linda?
Excuse me. Yeah, this month I did go to the DDA meeting and was able to see some of that, some of those plans, which is really exciting to have the streetscape coming into town. Also, I attended the Septemberfest meeting. That's just moving along rather slowly, not anything really new there. I I received an email this month from the choir director. They sang at our Christmas in the Village tree lighting, and the choir director contacted me, and I believe I forwarded on the, at least asked Amber to forward the email on. They have received a rating of 1 at regionals and will be competing at the state contest tomorrow at Oakland University. They are going to follow that by coming to Crossman Park for a celebration, and they asked if there might be some village council members that would come and just kind of recognize them, and I've also contacted the paper to give them that recognition. So I want to make sure that I give a personal invitation to all of you. If you've got some time around 11:30, they should be at Crossman Park around that time. I believe our village manager, he had the date wrong, and he thought it was last week, so Matt was there last week.
By himself.
Waiting, and I said, no, I told you to change the date, but, so that is tomorrow. If any of you can make it, that would be wonderful.
Okay, thank you. And, okay,
We had 2 finance subcommittee meetings this month, and we are going to be gearing up for our budget. We're going to have a public hearing in May, so more information to come. That's all.
okay, thank you. Just so the other members know, we'll be holding both of those meetings simultaneously, meaning the public hearing on the budget, and as well as, I hate to use the word workshop, but some budgetary news for us to chomp our teeth into, and the hope is that it's ready for approval at the June meeting.
Right.
Okay, Melanie?
Wayfinding signs are going in on Oakwood Church, Oakwood Narren, and yes, the Narren one will have a backside to a church one. We're not sure if that justifies putting a back on because you're already past the street, but we've been in contact with Signorama, and there are more signs in the works. Let's see, Alex and I, we were attending Elected Officials Academy. I think we're the only ones. Did anyone else sign up for that? Okay. Interlocal meeting, we had a meeting, and we'll be meeting again on the 13th. There is legislation coming through. Again, I just got the information today on a statewide septic legislation. And I have nothing to say about it yet because I haven't read it. It literally came this afternoon. But if anyone is interested, I can send that information to you. And I actually got to speak in Lansing in front of 2 different committees. It was a busy couple weeks on the renewable energy and also for the voter ID. And that is it.
Well, you're right. It sounds like you've been busy with a lot of
Been
those
busy.
committee meetings and other things of that nature.
Yeah.
Brings us to Larry.
Yeah, I've been busy too, but unfortunately not as much with council stuff, but more personal and work-related things. But related to council, I was at the finance subcommittee meeting, the first one, and I'm really pleased with the way that Matt is taking the direction for the accounting and stuff like that. I think that's going to work out a lot better for us in the budgeting process moving forward.
Okay.
Also, I can kind of spill the beans a little bit, but I also talked to Matt a little bit about some street topics, and I know Matt is looking at ways to try to get as much paving done within the next few years as possible to try to catch up for many years of neglect on our streets. So I'm really looking forward to see what he can bring to the table for us. And I also did see in the planning that the planning commission has been working on our capital improvement plan, and just to share with the audience is that's one of the key places or key documents we use in planning for major projects such as street repairs, building maintenance, major equipment costs and things like that. We take the capital improvement plan, that feeds into our budgeting process, and that helps us to kind of like put together all of our different needs with the available funding and put that together. And part of the capital improvement plan is also trying to look for funding resources for getting these projects and things done too. So just to share that with the audience out there that this is a whole process. The planning commission does the capital plan, we do the budgeting, and the village manager helps keep both of us coordinated, and that's the way it is. And that's pretty much it for me.
Good deal, Larry, and you have also been busy. Tony?
I just been busy with work, but I do have a meeting coming up May 13th with the intergovernmental panel, and I believe we have another one after that set for June.
Who all is on that committee there, Tony?
Myself, Melanie, and Linda, and Matt.
Oh, that's right,
Yeah.
thank you.
My only other question, and it does come to me, what's going on with the sign? I know I emailed you, but did you get any other information about the non-two-sided sign at Narren and Oakwood?
I just reported on that.
You didn't
The
say.
other side
You didn't
is-
say Cedar. You said Narren.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Sorry. Yeah, the other side is going
Okay,
to be.
okay,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Thanks. That's all I got.
Okay, Alex, hi.
Not too much, just a couple things. Between last month and this month, I was able to do my shoot here, and I want to thank the DPW on their really good job shutting down the road for us. My crew was safe. I want to thank the businesses, the pizza place, Papa Bella's, and the bar for hosting my crew and everything like that. I think that went all very smooth. Like Melanie said, we do have a event coming up where we'll be going up to Bay City. And other than that, I think Ian said it best. This Black Hawk thing, we really need to figure it out, whether it's the dispute that we're having with Township, with this ball field, we do need to figure it out. Like I said, I did get an email from them because I have reached out to them. And I said any way I could help, and I said put me on any email that you send to the village, and so that's why I know I got something.
Oh,
To
that's
at
why
least-
we all did.
Yeah, at least I know that they did send something, and
Okay.
I have helped
Yeah.
them again, sending the stuff with the church and stuff like that. I have definitely given my input on that, and so I just want to say that I think we really need to figure out, because these kids need to play here.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And I forgot, planning commission, we're working on a snow ordinance, burn permit, and short-term rental. There you go.
All right.
I want more info on the burn.
I know, I thought you'd be happy.
Yes.
Well, they're working on it, so nothing to report right now.
However,
I'm
Alex,
really happy they're looking at it.
Yep.
They're
I
good,
did-
they'll do a good job.
I did want to ask you about your shoot,
Yeah.
and you said that it went well, and I know we're all just glad to hear that it did go well.
Yeah.
And just thanks for your hard work on that.
Yeah, I mean, the senior center hosted us too for my lunch. I think they got one call wondering what we were doing, but other than that, I had no other major concerns. no
Good.
other-
Good. Okay, thank you very much. Takes us past the items of trustees, takes us on to what I'm going to call a somewhat confusing item, which is unfinished business fee scheduler. We got a letter from the building office, Jason Wilton, and we also got a letter from a different organization. And this is a kickover from last month. I did find some concern from this letter from this International Code Council. Reading through their letter, they say these are all things that are recommendations. I didn't see that any of them were legislatively required.
Can I
So,
make a comment on that?
no, yeah, go ahead.
That, it's not a letter, it's what the planning commission adopted back in February when it first came out for
Okay.
approval, that's
Okay.
all.
But I'm reading their verbatim, their words.
Yeah, no, I was
And
just letting you know why it was.
they're a government
included in there.
recommending unit, and they're recommending something to another governmental unit. And sometimes, I'm all for the pay raises for the people that are doing these works. But I also sometimes think, sometimes there can be some government overreach involved in some of these things that are well-intended, yet, once we pass it and it becomes everything needs 3 permits now, or whatever their recommendation is, doesn't always make it the best thing for the village. So I am not necessarily in favor of this.
In favor of
I'm all in favor of the rate
the
increases.
permit,
The rate, the rate increases look fine. I think we should be in line with everybody else and
It's
our
the amount
inspectors.
of inspections
Yeah,
that the
that's-
homeowners would have to pay.
There you go. You hit the nail on the head, and that's where I refer to it as government overreach.
Yeah,
So,
and I agree.
good on the pay. I don't know how we separate the two. Or we just approve a pay increase at our next month meeting, and I'd be all in favor of that.
Well, when I read through it, it seemed to me that many of the fees included the required number of inspections. And
They
if
do.
additional inspections were needed, they would be charged at a rate.
That is
So I
correct.
think that our fee schedule includes the required inspections, whether it's 2 or 3.
Yes, and I can speak on that, yes, so,
Okay, and you
yes,
can in a
they do
moment.
include
But
the
to answer
3.
my question, again, this is a board that recommends things, and yet you read their thing, and it makes it sound like this is legislatively required, and it isn't.
Oh,
Well,
yeah,
I was
no.
reading the letter from our building inspector, and he is the one who said, okay, we're changing from 2 to 3.
Correct.
According to
Yeah,
the new
and
schedule.
I find that to be
But since they're-
arbitrary.
Since they're included within the fee schedule, the number of inspections, I think that that would be,
Well, the guy's not gonna go up 3 times for the price of 2. Is he?
if they pay a fee and it requires 3 inspections, their fee covers the 3 inspections.
Okay, whether
And
they
we
need a
pay
third one
him
or
at an
not.
hourly rate
Correct.
for going out and doing the
And
job.
I sometimes question, who decided we need 3 inspections on all this stuff?
Right.
And that's what I'm calling arbitrary. And I'm also calling it government overreach. Because once you do it, you're basically stuck with it for the rest of your life. And I would certainly highly recommend that we look into it a little bit more. I want to thank Melanie, because when I heard last week, it was, the building department, or I'm sorry, the planning commission approved it, and I would typically go, hey, if they approved it, it's probably a good deal. And more that I looked into my own research on it, I'm like, I'm not so sure about that. And I'm still not that sure. I'm just gonna say, on today's item, I would vote no until I knew more. But, again, that's one vote, and if it's 6 to 1, we can pass it that way.
Now, the fees that we have now for the permit fee schedule, these are in line with what the township does. We were so far below. What we were charging was ridiculous. It had been that way for many, many years because we had never looked at the fee schedule through the different village managers and councils that we've had. So these are now in line with what our township does. And most of these include 3, but also there are, you'll see there are aspects where minimum permit fee, there are only 2 required, and you'll see that in a couple of categories, detached accessory
Right.
additions.
Yeah, that says if you need another one, it's $65 more.
Correct, if you need it. Generally, you don't.
Okay, who makes that determination?
The building inspector.
Exactly.
Okay, so that guy,
But-
the
but-
guy who's getting paid to do it
Yeah.
is the one who decides whether you need it or not.
Right.
Well, he's
But
not getting
right,
paid per
he's-
inspection.
he-
He's being
Oh, that's not what
paid
this says,
per
Larry.
hour, isn't it?
He gets, yeah, we pay him per hours.
Yeah.
We
Yes.
charge this, but we pay him by the hour? That doesn't make sense to me
That's
either.
what,
We hired
hey,
him to
that,
be
this
our
is what the
building.
council did with the township. We made some type of deal to share this building inspector, so.
That-
He doesn't
that
work on commission.
No, I know he does not. I wasn't suggesting that,
Yeah.
but what
So
I
if
do
there
suggest
was
is
an issue, we
there
should
are
not have done
14, maybe 1,400 voters in the village versus thousands in the township to pay for all of this.
Now, before we
It's
go any
expensive.
further with this, if this is a voting item, it has to be.
Yeah, we have to make a
has to
motion.
make a motion, it has to be supported, and then we can continue on with the discussion of which we've already given ample of.
Okay, I will make a motion to approve the Ortonville Village Building permit schedule as presented.
Support?
Okay,
Now we can,
further discussion, I think I've made my position on this quite clear.
Yeah, I agree.
I think I have a question. I mean, I've just heard Kay say that, we're we work with, the township is basically, has the guy that does this. I guess I don't even see our role in this when the township is the one who sends out the building inspector. So I'm just kind of curious as to how this all works, if we're sharing
Well,
this
we have a
person.
building inspector that we use.
Well, yeah, we do that.
So it's not the township building inspector? 'cause
We share
Yes,
him.
I mean,
Yeah, we
he's
share
one and
him.
the same, we're
Yeah.
sharing him, but we have, I thought we had our own contract or
I think, what do we
negotiations
pay,
with him.
$5,000 a year?
I don't know what
I
it
don't
is.
know.
What was in the
Okay.
budget,
I
Amber?
don't think any of that's clear
Amber?
in here.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Well, then, but there could be no inspections in a year. We're not gonna give them $5,000 for,
Are we?
no, I wouldn't think so. We gotta pay them a raise.
Amber, can I ask the clerk something? How do we pay him, Amber?
A check to the.
Not-
And
Not
no,
by
by,
what-
by
not
by what
inspection
weekly.
or by month.
Do we pay him a year stipend? And we give him, so we send 5,000?
Yep,
Okay.
That is horrible.
yeah,
It's just a horrible government plan.
To the township.
yep, because we
Okay.
use Jason
Now,
for our
also-
building inspections and the sign inspections
Mm-hmm.
and the accessory
Okay.
building inspections, so it's not just.
I can further add, before I conclude with my dissent on this, is that we don't have to be in lockstep with the township
don't.
on every darn thing that they want to do. It doesn't necessarily mean it's a one-size-fits-all. And the village's needs might not be exactly what they are for Brandon Township. And I like the flexibility, not that we wouldn't pay even more, or make the requirements even harder, or more difficult to achieve. It's just our choice, and I just don't like the force-fed method that we're looking at this minute. Okay, further?
I would just say that I know the planning commission took this up, they reviewed it, and I do trust our planning commission because I know we have got good people on there. I know that from having been a planning commissioner in the past myself, I know that we don't just do things in lockstep with the township.
don't.
We try to align where it makes sense, but where there needs to be differences, we make sure that we incorporate those differences in the
Pass
actions
this,
that
there
we
won't
do.
be any. I mean,
Well,
we're-
this is not the same as the townships, is it?
Well, I'm being told it
It
is.
is.
We brought the costs up to,
Okay,
be
our
in
costs were
line.
significantly below, and
They
so we
were,
reworked them to bring our
yes.
costs more in line with what they should be
Yes.
based upon the actual
and these are actually
costs.
even
And I
still.
wouldn't mind if it was
Below.
each one, but we're paying a flat fee to
Well,
the inspector, to the
the-
township,
the-
for the inspector.
Well, I look at it, there's two pieces. Number one, you've got building inspections and things that the building inspector needs to do, which is a variable thing. You don't know how many are gonna come in any month
Exactly.
or year. Okay, we also have a need to have a building inspector. So
Correct.
you could either do it where, gee, 1 year we have very few, so we pay very little, and the next year we have a ton and we gotta pay a ton more, or we work out and say, well, let's just pay a fat fee
It's
and
kinda
hire
like snow
somebody
plowing.
for the services, and we use them as
It
little or as
really
much
is.
as we need.
I just can't believe there's that much activity in the village.
And I also think when we charge a resident a fee for something, like a permit, that the reason we're charging them is to pay for, or at least offset, some of our expenses, which are paying an inspector.
Right.
So if he does 25, it means we brought in 2,500 more than if we only had 3. So we're not in the money-making business with this, I wouldn't think.
No.
We're
just
not,
wanna
No.
we are absolutely not
So
going to be
I,
making money
I'm
off of this.
happy to just look at this either further or just figure out something else different, but it doesn't
Yeah.
sit comfortable with me. And I don't know who this organization is, but I don't like it
This
when they come
organization
out.
has nothing to do with what this
Well, but
is.
it's in our
It's in our
packet.
packet, and it says
I
that they're
don't know
making it-
why this was put in,
Okay,
she
there-
put it in, I don't know who put it
think that's just
in.
reference for
It was
how
a-
to help, how to
Yeah,
calculate.
this is
the
how we
potential
you can
thing.
calculate square
Okay,
footage
so
and
the-
what the payment is.
Yeah, I didn't
another-
see
This
anything
has
about
nothing to
inspections in
do
that.
with
Okay.
what the planning
But it is a
commission,
government agency trying
It's-
to represent themselves or encourage us to move forward with this.
well, it's, no,
No.
they're not saying
There's-
move
that's the
forward.
first paragraph.
No, all they're doing is showing you how you multiply square, how you're getting,
How you can
paid,
arrive
how-
at
how
some
you-
reasonable
yes.
fees for
how
your
how you,
services.
yes, thank you,
So it's their recommendation.
yes.
Nothing
And
more, nothing
That's
less.
it.
Building
That's all
value,
it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Asian
Ken,
data.
That it has
DVD.
no effect and no pressure on anything.
Ken, I will
Alright.
agree with you that I think that how we pay for a building inspector, that sounds like a topic that should be reviewed and addressed, and maybe we need to make changes in how we're doing it and come to a way that would be a better fit for the actual usage. So
I'd
I
like to
think
see
that
him,
would be,
I'd like to see him get good money for his time.
yeah, but I think that would be a separate topic and can be addressed outside of this
It's not a
particular
separate
fee
topic if
schedule.
we approve this.
Right.
Okay, but then who is going to do, the planning commission has already given their recommendation. So is, the council, is there gonna be a committee that the council can make to then come up with, and that way we can send it back to planning commission with our recommendations
Okay,
from
but that's,
council?
that is not what we're here for today.
Okay,
We're here today to vote on this.
Yeah.
okay.
And
So
it
what,
it either
so
sinks or swims.
if I make a motion,
You
You
did.
do
already
you wanna
did.
send it back? I can revise my motion. Do you wanna send it back to planning commission, or is the village council going to do the next steps and figure out all the pricing and then send it back to planning to
I'd
look
say
at?
send it back to them, but it would make it to them anyways.
Well,
Right.
I
It doesn't
think,
need to happen this minute.
I think that we have
Okay.
one motion on the floor,
Yes,
whether we
we
approve
do.
or not. If
Yeah.
it doesn't,
I
if
was
that
gonna
motion
modify,
fails
but
and
I
we
won't.
don't approve it, then we
Then
can
we
have a
figure
second
out-
motion what to do with it at that
Okay,
point.
Yeah,
well and good. Does
exactly.
anybody else have something to say before we do a roll call vote?
No.
I mean, if you do, it's discussion time. Roll call vote, please.
Brooks,
No.
Green,
No.
Hayden,
Yes.
Randazzo,
No.
Walker,
No.
Nivell,
Yes.
Rosenberg.
No. The motion fails 5-2. That leads us to new business, which is special event permits, and there's one for Memorial Day Parade that this town celebrates every year on Memorial Day, and they did submit a permit to us for this year. We all have attended many, many times over the past and know it to start right near the old mill where the band would kind of congregate, move over to near the police station, and a speech would be made, and the parade would temporarily stop, then it would move on down Mill Street. And the sheriff's department would assist us in blocking M15 to get the parade personnel up to the cemetery. I'm pretty sure that it hasn't changed in as many years as I've been here.
Yet I do not recall ever having to approve it before.
Yeah.
Say again? Yeah, that's what, I meant everybody congregates there. And then the band leads them, and then we stop and we do our little talk. But, because I think you're the permit designer, or did you have something to do with the permit?
That's Dennis. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And, is there anything that you'd like to add to what I mentioned about it? Because I think this is a no-brainer.
No, it's, you've got, hopefully, you get a flyover this year.
Yeah, yeah.
They're giving me a runaround.
Oh, that is such a, that is such a
It is
plus.
cool. It is.
And other than that, everything's moving along.
Uh-huh.
And then do you need volunteers for anything? For putting up or down, taking down anything? Do you need volunteers?
Most of them are already lined up.
Okay, very good. I was gonna say now's a good time to announce that if you do. Okay,
Boy Scouts, the Care Bears, and the National Honor Society,
nice.
plus community members.
Nice.
Yeah.
I make a motion that we approve the special event permit for Memorial Day, for the Memorial Day Parade.
Support.
Moved and supported. Is there any other discussion?
I have one other question. I only, because I know that the sheriff blocked off M15, I don't see that on the permit. Glover didn't sign anything.
You signed it?
It says cert comma, but is that Glover that's approving on the first line?
Well, it wouldn't be cert that's
Yeah.
blocking off M15.
He's just saying, is CERT gonna be used?
And it
that's-
would not,
he's
be-
just
and
asking a
technically, I
question.
don't think it would be Glover anyways, it'd be the state police would have to block M15. 'cause
Is
it's
that who, I
state
don't
law.
know who does it.
Glover always does, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think,
Yeah.
I think there's a state,
So that
Someone
is
involved
him
there.
saying that, yes, he will
Yeah.
take care of that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's my only question. Usually he has his signature on there, and I didn't see it.
Okay.
I
Moved
think
and
you guys coordinate with them or something.
supported. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, your permit is flying through just like the flyover.
I think it's one of the coolest things we do in
I
this
do
It really
too.
is.
I could never be more impressed about being in this town than on Memorial
on
Day.
Memorial Day.
Yep.
It is a wonderful thing, unless you just happen to be flying down M15 and not know why the street's closed.
Exactly.
But it is a wonderful
Okay,
tribute.
There's the DDA summer kickoff. We got that briefing from Matt Jenkins earlier today. They have a summer kickoff permit in our packet. I didn't go over it with a fine tooth, but I assume with the DDA that things are up to snuff.
I only had one question about porta-johns. So Matt, are you going to bring in porta-johns? Because I know it doesn't indicate it here.
I thought it said none.
Matt's not here, so I might be speaking out of turn, but he and I discussed last week, I think he went ahead and put in the order for the Crossland Park and the Marin seasonal porta-johns.
Okay.
I think they arrived. And we also were brainstorming on the potential for some other seasonal porta-johns. He and I haven't connected on that again after he was going to make contact with Don, so.
And you have the Old Town Hall down here
Yeah,
also.
But you're both well aware that that's a huge need.
Right.
And that's, I talked to a couple DDA members today, and they were under the same assumption, even though it didn't spell it out in the permit, but your intentions were to address that.
I didn't, I laughed when I saw it.
Okay. We can make the assumption that it's there.
Based on the budget.
Yeah,
It's
well,
all based on what.
and you have to sometimes estimate your crowd sizes and things like that, and, maybe what the weather is might have a lot to do with that. But on the other hand, porta-johns are something that we're gonna probably need more of, as the season goes on.
I'd be very interested to know the council's opinion on that, since that's a question.
Our opinion. My gosh, I think it's almost,
Of course, we need porta
yeah.
potties.
Otherwise, we're relying on the town hall. And we all know that that's on about as
That's
thin of
septic.
edge as we could possibly be on. So its
Yeah.
usage is important to all of us. So if a porta-john can eliminate, 30-40% of the usage, especially depending on its location, why, it's a win-win for the village and DDA.
Okay, we haven't been approached with that question in the past, that's why I'm asking.
Yeah, but they seem to show up there, like you said, you guys get them every year. I don't know if they don't,
This event,
what's that?
Not always,
Okay, but not always, but sometimes they're there.
yeah.
Okay, and how they get there, I'm not exactly sure I know how, or who even pays the bill. Might be the village, might be you, it might be a shared expense. But everybody who sees it is appreciative that it's there. And I think this council feels strongly about that. And,
Noted.
yeah,
I'll make sure the, whoever.
it sounded like you were on the right track anyway, just Matt's been gone. So
Yep.
hammering that out, when he does get back, I think it's well worth it. And you guys discussed the expense of it, I suppose. But you have a permit, and is there a motion for this permit?
Yeah, okay. I'll make a motion to approve the permit, but I have questions.
Okay,
Support.
yeah. Okay, moved and supported, and Kay, you have a question?
On here, it talks about, has a special liquor license been issued by the MLCC, and you say yes. I'm assuming it's on file, Amber?
It just is going into the state, because you guys
Probably
just
answered
approved
yes
it.
because we applied for one.
Okay. But we don't have it yet. Have you applied for it in the past? Mm-hmm. And you never had a problem getting it before?
You've had a
Yeah.
great many liquor licenses
Yeah.
in the past.
Like for Witches' Night and all
And
all those
for,
things.
well,
Yes, you personally.
yeah, you personally.
Right.
Whatever the Bahama Beach thing last year and some of these other things.
Witches'
were-
Night Out has a,
Yeah, so, I mean,
Right.
I know the DDA's done it successfully in the past. And they go through the proper licensing and insuring and all that. kind
Okay,
of
well,
stuff.
it just wasn't attached.
Yeah,
That's
I
the
know.
only reason
I
yeah.
didn't notice that it was or wasn't. Moved and supported. Are there any other questions about the DDA's permit?
Yes, it talks about entertainment. It says list all performers and speakers, but I don't see it here. Is that because it's loose?
yeah, we got the flyer with the pool boys. The pool
Oh,
boys will be.
that's
yeah.
the entertainment, and, I mean, that's the extent of the entertainment. Okay.
Yes, the pool boys, not
And I
the
just want to
cabana
know,
boys.
who drew this?
Abandoned
Who
boys.
drew this?
I don't understand the map.
This map?
I
Come
like
on.
it. I like it.
DDA board members for it.
One of them.
Matt, I have one question. You mentioned when you were speaking that they're doing a movie over there. So you were just letting us know this is not part of that permit. They have to put that permit in, right? This is not,
It is not part of our permit.
okay, you were just giving it so we knew. Okay. Thanks.
Just for a little framework, I guess, right? that there's gonna be multiple things going on in town at the same
Okay.
time.
Okay.
Hence
Matt's
even
like,
being
I
more-
have no responsibility for
Yeah.
the movie night, none,
Okay.
none.
It has been moved and supported, and all those in favor of approving the summer kickoff, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, your permit is been approved. That takes us to the village manager report. As we all have noticed, if you haven't by now, the village manager is not in attendance today. I've been in contact with him like almost entirely from Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then 2 or 3 different times today. So he's doing well, he's learning a lot. He says that this class that he's at right now is one of the most beneficial that he's ever taken. I think it's gonna it's gonna improve our budget process and our overall reporting, and it's a treasurer specialty thing. So I think he's really, really learning a lot because he isn't from that background originally. However, he's filling in admirably as the treasurer because we don't have that seat filled right now. So he is not able to be here. Most of his updates that we talked about are things that you mentioned, the capital improvement things and some of those items. I don't really feel, it's not up for me to update everybody on those items, it's more his. And he doesn't really have approval for him yet, so he's in the salesmanship process right now of convincing us at a later date that we should, follow his advice. So far, I'm a believer in what he's recommending, but that's just how I see it. I did say, because you're not gonna be here at this meeting, and he volunteered to drive back and then turn around and make the 2-hour, 2 hours here and 2 hours back.
Crazy.
All just tonight, just to not miss this meeting, and I said, that's really not the best use of your time.
Yeah.
And said it's, he doesn't get an excused absence, he's just not here. But I did tell him that instead of a manager's report, maybe when he does get back in here and has a few time, or a little bit of time, that we don't have to wait till next month to get one, that he could actually type out a manager's
That would
report
be nice.
on Monday
Yeah.
or Tuesday, and then supply it to all of us so that we're up to speed, because, again, I don't feel there's enough for me to comment on that I would be absolutely certain of, and they're pretty much things that should come from him anyways. So,
Right.
if nobody minds, you will get one later this week, and it will have an update on what he's doing with his classwork and maybe some other projects that he's working on. And again, we've got that budget meeting, forgot the date, but it's coming up sometime soon. And
Yeah,
it's
I'm
also
okay
gonna be
with
the
it.
time
Write down
to we also are gonna hold a public hearing.
The
at that same
28th, I
time.
wrote down.
And
That
if we
way-
wanted to have it physically, it could always be added as an acceptance item at next month's meeting.
Oh, sure, yeah, I mean, I'm all for that. So, that is the very brief and the best I can give you as a manager's report, without letting too many cats out of the bag.
And a reminder to put your timesheets in if you don't have any remaining
hey.
meetings, get those in.
That
Make a
is
motion to adjourn.
Support.
moved and supported. We won't have to do a roll call on this, we'll just say those in favor.
Aye.
Aye.
All right, I'm in favor as well. So it's 7-0.
Thank you.